my number one traffic driver to my website when I sold.
So I should just be doing it in general. And it says remarkability is doing what you do so well that people can't resist telling others about it.
But what we're talking about is how do we optimize realtor.ca to get more clients?
Because if I get more eyeballs, I get more footfalls. And there's going to be some key milestone times to our listing.
You either have to make all things equal and get the most friends or make things not equal.
Welcome to The Leads Are Shit. Here we have Andrew Fogliato. Andrew is the founder of Just Sell Homes as well as the owner of Real Estate Magazine. And myself, my name is Taylor Hack. I am the team leader at Hack & Co. at RE/MAX River City in Edmonton, Alberta, where it is not too cold right now. How's everything going where you are? You're
getting a little bit of snow, but I mean,
Newmarket.
Yeah, lovely Newmarket. We're currently probably at like -1. It's not bad. -2.
Mm-hmm.
We got a good place where we are now. I'm not going to complain.
Well, time of year wise, so many people are talking about business planning right now.
Yep.
'Tis the season where everybody's like, okay, let's lock in a plan. Everybody who's experienced says, let's lock in a plan and then go and celebrate the holidays with like some stuff starting like week 1 or week 2.
It's a funny thing on like the Just Sell Home side of the business is we will get that mix of like people who have already started like engaging with us to like hit the ground strong in January, and they're like, all right, like January 2nd, let's be ready to go. And then we also get that big mix of, yeah, let's circle back to this after the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just one or the other. Almost nobody though is what I was finding is like, let's start now. It's
Yeah.
after.
Yeah,
You get
and
a
I'm
few.
wondering, like, I think a lot of people that if they're actioning new initiatives, that normally means that they're being more ambitious. I think
Yeah.
so many people, when their business isn't going well, they kind of retract. Whereas these people are like, hey, I want to move ahead. And my guess is that they're exhausted. They're crawling to that holiday finish line. I've felt like that myself so many times.
Yeah, we did saw that one, especially when the market slowed down. Like volume of clients went down, but the average spend went up. So it's like the people who are
So
still
you
going,
only have smart clients left.
pretty much.
I
It's
hate
worked
to
out.
call them out, but that's
Yeah,
the truth, man. When we saw the cost per lead during pandemic,
yeah.
all of the sharks smelled blood in the water. And it turned out to be one of the best markets in history for most major cities. And there were people leading into that stopped spending. I couldn't believe they stopped spending.
The mentality I could never understand. I mean, I know why they think that. I just don't understand it as a business owner. And it's stopped now because of the market shifting, except in like Edmonton, is this thing where it's like, why would I need to advertise my listings? I just had to put on MLS, they're going to sell.
Mm.
It's like, because that's not why you have, like, that's not why you mark the listing. I mean, to be honest, the majority of the reason I market a listing is not to sell the listing.
Well, there are other, like, I really feel as though we should have pretty good alignment
Yeah.
between what we're doing with our listings and what our sellers would want.
Yeah.
And so that's a good way to talk about the opening for today, because last week we spent some time and I'm not sure when people tuned into this, because you might come in mid conversation and expect that we're talking about things like a hero shot or a photo. And that's something that we're doing as part of making a website. But what we were actually talking about was on my listings.
Yeah.
How am I going to make that listing on the Paragon system, the system behind the MLS, in a way that when it's viewed in its most likely view, which is people are hanging out on websites like realtor.ca, where they see everybody's listings standing in a row. In my mind, that's like a perp walk, and I need them to find me interesting enough to click. I just want to get more clicks, because if I get more eyeballs, I get more footfalls, and that's what sales ends up being about.
You know, I'd find another interesting test because I've talked about a few tests, but this is one we did not talk about yet last week for realtor.ca. Change your profile photo is testing
Ooh.
different versions of how you appear there. And how does that impact your click-through rate?
Are we talking like double guns?
It's one of the ones. Because I think
Yeah,
right now
double
you're holding
guns?
sold riders.
Yep.
So that does stand out against most.
That's why I do it.
Now
You
that's
put some red in that
partially
photo.
because most are just like your very standard headshot or no headshot.
Headshot on gray. That's what I'm competing with. My headshot
Yeah.
is headshot on white with sold banners. It
Yeah.
functions.
It does. And I would be curious then on testing
I
for
want you to know
click-through
that is,
rate.
yeah, actually, I just changed it. It used to be our logo, and now it's my face.
Yeah, I would always do face. Like this one we've noticed with like Facebook pages, ads where the profile photo of someone's page is a face close up always outperforms, maybe not 100% of the time, but like 95% plus, where it's a recognizable face will
Mhm.
outperform logos, team shots, stuff like that.
I have to say that some of these things that are relatively low percentage wins, I think that more people should ask questions because honestly, sometimes you're doing external marketing for the public to see you, for clients to come. But as
Yeah.
a team leader, sometimes I'm doing internal marketing. I
Yeah.
want my teammates to feel a certain way by how we're represented in certain situations because like the tipping point of whether or not a headshot gets me my next client,
Yeah.
it's just I want to play larger percentage likelihood wins.
Well, that's where I look at things, and we talked about this. We've definitely talked about this on an episode before. Is like single property websites. I think from a technical marketing standpoint, they're a terrible idea. Um, Maybe not terrible being the right word, but I wouldn't do them. But from a closing some sellers who love the idea that they're getting their own website, it's like a thing in their head. It's a good tool for that.
So if you are using it for what it's for, okay.
Yeah.
Like if you are using property specific websites, but they're not part of your listing presentation, this is where we're seeing disconnection,
Yeah.
right? But if you are using property specific websites as part of your listing presentation, then you're using it for the right purpose and it's probably worthwhile depending on how likely you are to compete. Some people have too much of a product for what they need to sell. Some people just lack confidence.
Yeah.
And they're like, unless I have drone and a virtual walkthrough and this, and this, I don't feel comfortable walking into somebody's house and asking for their business.
Yeah, but like even video tours of the property. That's more to get the seller than it is to actually sell the listing.
Video tours, I would say, are externally more effective than virtual tours, but that dollhouse 3D thing, that is premium seller attraction.
Yes. So are videos. Like it's because like with I still keep going back to the survey that Aria did. Like videos and like the dollhouse stuff, they were like on the top 10 at like 8. It
Mm.
was photos, description, floor plans. Like floor plans was the largest like gap, like from 3 to 4. I can't remember the numbers now because a couple of years ago they did it. Like floor plans was number 3 easily. And how many people don't even put floor plans on their listing? Like just make that the last couple photos every time. Like
So all right, break that down a little bit more because you're saying put them as the last couple of photos so they get to the end of the
uh
gallery, right?
not necessarily. So this is where again you'd have to look at the platforms that people are using. It's like realtor.ca. What's the photo where on mobile and desktop where they can see it's there, but they'd have to click to open it to see it. Right? So like you want them to see it because once they click through, they're more likely to see the rest. So you can almost tease them clicking through to the rest by making the floor plans like those next ones after that initial group because they want to see it.
So you put it at the back of the gallery to increase click on, like
But it
to the
might not
point
be the
where they
complete back. It
expand
might
the
be more
ad.
like the middle.
But so it's
Right.
somewhat visible. Like you use
Yeah,
it as an attractor.
exactly. Like it's a reason to click into the rest of the photos.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This is also where a lot of people miss the mark because they're like, okay, the public wants photos, so I'm going to put floor plans as the first photo.
Yeah.
And now they've looked at that, but they probably haven't expanded the rest of the Facebook like ads, so they can't see the rest of the copy.
Yeah.
Which means the call to action and the link isn't even visible to them likely, so the likelihood for click through.
Yeah.
So the way you're playing this is like a mini squeeze page where you're using the bait in a position where it will get them to expand the ad where they can view the next action, which is that
Yeah.
call to action.
Yeah. Because like, and Realtor.ca won't actually, or at least today won't have the stats for it. Maybe it's something they would include. is I would love to see an average time on page for each listing.
Mm.
Like you have how many views, but what would actually be useful is a how long are they also spending on that page,
Hmm.
right? Because then it's like I can check click through rate plus time on page. That will tell me if people are interested in the property.
Mm.
And
Yeah, so the more metrics, the more you could basically see where you're trying to solve.
yeah. And then from there, like after that, the other one I'd want to look obviously is number of leads, but then how many clicks to my website.
Hmm.
Like those are the main ones you'd want to know on that page, but all we have is views and I guess you can track your leads.
Well, this is going to be something that's going to be important for us to convey here is how we are going to measure. Because if
Yep.
you don't measure, you can't manage. That's just
Yep.
flat out the way it works.
Yep.
So when we're talking about the listings is going to be one metric that we're going to try to measure. And what my mind goes to is if you tuned in last week, you would have seen us talk about driving traffic off of realtor.ca by doing a segmented release of information.
Yeah.
So Andrew is talking about the minimum amount of pictures so it doesn't upset the seller or the public. So you got to find that mix. You don't need to hold back everything, but you could hold back like a couple things, just like we were talking about with the floor plans.
Yep.
And then what you're selling is more info. So the two things that I'm going to be selling this year is more info and are you on our advanced property notification list? So those two things are going to be what resonates in my marketing. And when people come on to our listings on Paragon, we were just talking about that hero shot.
Gonna-
So we're going to have a more likely, and then we're going to invite them to enjoy more info. And that's when they leave the realtor.ca web space and come directly to my website.
Yeah. Now, can you, this is one where you'll have to also think about is when they click on it, where do they end up and how many clicks to now find that listing?
Exactly where we wanted to pick up this conversation.
Yeah.
So when we're driving traffic off of MLS, let's talk about first wide angle. So end result is we would like to exchange contact information for exclusive information,
Yep.
and the quality of information is the key. So that would be the goal we're shooting for, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so now when you see that as a marketer, I'm on realtor.ca, I click off of onto the more info. What do you imagine?
So in an ideal world, which they don't have it set up this way, so I can't, because actually we talked about this, is I had even started building out a company to create this tool. It would have been like a $10 a month subscription for realtors, which would identify the listing they're coming off on and then going to a specific page based on that. So in an ideal world, when they click on it, because they're clicking for more information, we want them to go to the page right as fast as possible. So like what is the least amount of clicks to get to more information? Because
Hmm.
if we just send them to the homepage and then there's like, think of like a lot of realtors' website. It's like homepage. Now I'm there. Then I got to go look for our listings, then click on team listings, and then sort through that list to find it
Okay.
or some variation of that. But what if we could just send them to a page that had your listings on them? And it was just like a list. Like in an ideal world, they could identify which ones they were on and then go straight to that page. But I don't think right now with realtor.ca that's possible because you can't customize the link to realtor's website for every listing you have. It has to be on a like universal basis.
I can do my inputs onto the system are URL brochure, which I could use as an independent link.
Yep.
I could also use URL virtual tour, URL map, URL additional images, and URL alternate feature sheet. So I have this
But
ability.
those aren't all visible, are they on realtor.ca?
I have to test it. I haven't been using
Yeah.
this.
Because that's where like the best quality leads are coming through. Right.
Oh, so the problem we're going to run into if we do this poorly is we're going to be marketing to people that already have relationships with other agents
Yeah, like
because
you've
they're
been
only going to get
optimizing
it through
for
the MLS
MLS.
system or on what we call the collaboration center. So
Yeah.
when you're thinking about this strategy, Andrew is on it, which is you got to watch who you're fishing for.
Yeah.
Don't fish for other agents' clients.
Well, you like there is a different part of that strategy of you're still trying to maximize the number of offers and how much you're getting for it. Like there, you
Fair.
do want to put the right stuff there for your clients. But what we're talking about is how do we optimize Realtor.ca to get more clients?
So let's assume that we are going to have the challenge that you know of, which
Yeah.
is that they're going to click through to my website and they are going to see a friendly homepage and then they are going to leave,
I
right?
would change your link through your Krea profile to your featured listing page, where your featured listing is a collection of your team listings.
Now, this is something where I would have the option of taking them to a page. So it would be like a blog
Yeah.
where what we would want is like picture button, picture button, picture button, like enough information for them to identify which listing they're
Yeah.
after and immediately enter for to come in.
Yeah.
Or I can take them to like I have a program called Typeform where it would literally just take them into the form system. It allows me to use pictures and video. It allows me to use pictures as buttons. And then at least they're already in the form like program for when I ask for their info.
Yeah. The only thing you have to be concerned about with that is they've clicked to find that information right away. If they can't get it without filling out a form, you're kind of leading off with a little like it's forced registration essentially, which is a little bit of that opening disappointment. Um, so that you'd have to look at how do we approach from that. Now, what you could do is like a link in bio style page, right? Like a link tree type of mid page where anyone who clicks on that link in realtor.ca goes to one, and then you just have the addresses of all your listings set up there that you're updating. So it's always going to the same intermediate link. That's an easy one for you to update with your active listings. And it just be like, which of these do you want more information on? And then it clicks straight through to that, and that page gets updated.
Okay. So this is an important distinction. So we're going to decide how to bring them through and then basically get them to information first. And from
Yeah.
experience, you're saying that forced registration up front would be a mistake.
I think
And
in this
instead, you
scenario,
want to give them something, but is there something that you can hold back? And in my mind, I'm thinking about access to a G drive of additional info.
so this is one where you
So
also have to check if there's any rules set up on what your profile off realtor.ca can do. Because there are sites and things like that where like they don't want you sending straight to squeeze pages, right? So is this are the rules there? And this is one I'm not 100% sure on. And we have to double check because it could put a wrench in the plan of if you send straight to something gated, or and sometimes just G Drive links aren't allowed as like that type of link. So can we? So that's where I think if we sent to like a link tree style link, and if you don't know what a link tree for people watching, like it's basically just like that page where it's an intermediate page that just links out what are the main links they can go to right now. So what I'm
the
thinking is
reason that
like, yeah,
the reason that these link trees exist is because you can only have one link on Instagram.
yeah,
So for those people that have multiple products or services or different ways to drive traffic or specific offerings,
yeah,
they would do one link that leads to a branch of links, hence Linktree.
yeah.
And if we did that, so let's say that we're carrying 10 listings and they come in and they're able to easily identify which listing that they can go to, that would probably be the first criteria that you need to meet.
Yeah.
Then the second criteria is they actually get what you promised them, which is additional information or more info. So that's when we would release just a gallery of photos, possibly some answers to some questions that you mentioned last
Like
time. Like,
thousand
what
word
would the seller
description.
miss most about their house?
Yep. And
Um,
really easy call to action here, though, to get their information. It's not that you're gating existing information, it's you're having them sign up for all future updates. So you're
so
like,
then more updates. Do you
yeah,
want updates
including
on
the
this
sold
listing?
price when it sells.
Okay.
And that's how I would frame that. I'd be like, do you want to get updates on this property, including open houses? You can decide if for you if it's right of like including when we get offers and then
Hmm.
including the sold price when it sells. And basically, it becomes every time there's an update on that property, everyone, because like when they fill out that form now, it would tag them in your database with that address. You would then just, anyone who has that tag, flip them over a an email being like, "Hey, there's an open house this weekend. Hey, we got an offer on this property. Hey, this property sold. Would you like to know how much?"
Hmm.
But I would frame it that way, like with a sold one, I'd make them reply to get it still.
Yeah, so that's where we're looking for is we're looking for a group of people to come through this filter, get the more info and leave.
Yeah,
And then a group of people to come through this filter, get more info, and then be like, oh man, I'm actually interested,
yeah,
and allow them to go. And then we can choose how to market to them after they make that choice.
yeah, exactly. And I would
And
have a really soft call to action at the end of all each of these pieces, a soft one of, "Do you want to get your home sold? Click here to talk to us about selling your home."
so that's the seller filter. So you'd
Yeah,
see the 10 properties, and then it would say, do you want to know what your property would look like on this list?
yeah. Or
Or do
add
you,
your prop. Like you could even
yeah.
just put the button, "Add your property."
Yeah, so something to engage
Yeah,
sellers that are kind of sizing up this property because they live nearby, which is a
yeah,
big part of the Hack and Co strategy next year.
yeah. I would actually
We just
love to just try that of just get your property, like add your property to this list. So it's
okay.
not like talk to us about it. It's just like literally like a button that says add your property. Then they have to talk to you. But
Hmm.
just doing that because like it it's a funny example. I think we've talked about it before offline. Do you know the most successful landing page of all time?
Oh, I want to hear it again.
Uh, so it's off color. It's porno.com. The guy who bought it was basically, this is like early days of the internet, bought that, but was not someone in the industry. So he
Hmm.
did not create it. He just thought someone's going to want this domain. And this was back like before Google was huge. So people would just go to the name. So it'd be like pizza.com
They
if I
just
wanted
think
pizza.
of something and
Yeah, and
hit
then
it.
put that.com. And so he got that one. And what he figured out was I can charge 50 cents for every click I send to a site. So he started putting ads on it. And then he figured out one thing that had the like 85% click through rate on millions of people coming through. He just changed it to enter here.
Oh,
Right. So you go and it's just
enter
an
here.
all
Yeah.
white page with a blue hyperlink saying enter here. And that is his most successful money making website that he's had. Like he was making like 20 million bucks a year in the 90s, just selling 50-cent clicks on that. And it's the simplicity of I went here, I expected it. So it's like almost similar idea here with you. You got your listings, and then add your
Mm.
property here. And then they click through, and then that goes to the talk to us about your plans to move.
Yep. And it's the psychology of these things is the same behind the most successful phone number of all time, which is 1-800 call now.
Yeah.
That guy that owns that, his whole job is leasing that phone number.
Yeah.
That's the only company he does. That's the only thing he did. He's done it since the blue screens on late night television, and they crush it. And paying attention to these little moves, like when they changed that blue screen that we all used to see at the end of infomercials that said 1-800 call now, they changed the language because they used to say operators are standing by.
Yeah.
And then they changed the language to if you get a busy tone, please call back. And it dramatically changed the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how you word things, the reason that
Yeah.
it's enter here, the reason that we talk about the verbiage is because it absolutely changes outcomes.
Like even a
And it
little
will
one we've
change over
tried,
time.
like one we've tried with, like, especially if you do forced registration to increase the amount of correct information is if you're like a lead man, like let's download a guide on how to get your home ready for sale. If you just change the call to action on the form, because like a lot of people put on the form itself, like fill out the information, we're gonna send it, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Here's why you should do it. We just change it to where can we send the guide?
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of correct information shot up because now we're basically just telling them, no, if you want to copy that, we're not going to redirect you to it. We're going to send it to you. You have to fill this out to get it. So it's a
Okay. So
simple language.
we're working our way through taking people off of realtor.ca through the comments, through the URL. They find a list of properties, then they go in and get a little bit more info, and then we kind of do forced registration. And now I
Yeah.
want to kind of layer on this. So there's going to be some key milestone times to our listing.
Yeah.
So first off, there's going to be before the coming soon window. Then there's going to be the coming soon window. Then there's going to be listing launch
Yeah.
and opening weekend. And then in many cases, it's going to be offers on Monday and roll from there. That's the market I'm in right now.
Yeah.
But this would be where you would adapt it to your market. So before the coming soon window, I cannot do public advertisements, but I can email my database and my network.
Yes.
So in that period, that is like the use of that. So there's a timeline that is too early because I don't have photos, I don't have everything, but like the listing signed, we go for photos. We're going to try to action some small information out of that that's going to be ready to go before we actually get into listing launch week. What I'm thinking is just like you were talking, we do a little pregame sometimes. It's like 30 seconds of intense conversation before we hit
Yeah.
record. And you were saying about selling slots.
Yeah.
The people that are coming in, I think that we're going to give them booking slots for Thursday. So they get to pre-book showings for opening day because they're in contact with us and they know which property to book showings on. And then so that's going to be the element of our sneak peek and why you want to be on this list for advanced listing advanced listing notifications.
Yeah, I'd love if you had to like a coming soon email list that was tailored to neighborhoods. So you had
Mm.
like, if you want to know about upcoming listings in this neighborhood, sign up. So like when they sign up, be like, check all the lists that you want to be added. It adds a tag to them. And then you can send out anyone in that neighborhood if you want to know about a listing coming up. But what you can do now, instead to kind of think of the 3 day coming soon rule about a specific listing, you just say, there's going to be an update coming out to our this neighborhood name coming soon list next week. It's like a advanced preview that that list is going to get an email next week.
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering about is like, here's some things I was kind of thinking through, and I love the way that you sharpen this. Same idea with that is I love what you're thinking about that. That really relates to our conversation previously when we were talking about giving people to do something to do while they're walking from the plane to baggage
Yeah,
to decrease baggage weight complaints. You just got to give them something to do because you can't make the other thing faster. And
exactly.
in this case, having people that come in for our advanced listing notification emails and giving them something to do where they call out favorite neighborhoods
Yeah.
or they tell us a little bit more about what's up their alley. So I guess we can also rewind even further. When we get the listing appointment, we are going to do a Facebook story where we put a Google map and circle a neighborhood and say we are going to talk to somebody who might want to sell in this neighborhood. Are you interested with a poll?
You could send that email out to the email list for
We'll
that
also
neighborhood
send it to
too.
the email
Yeah.
list. Yep. So those two things
If
are going
they
to go
decide to
right when we
sell.
get the appointment.
Yeah. So I just say, if they decide to sell, would you be interested?
Yep. And then the next one will be right leading into the appointment. Or sorry, so after we have the appointment, then we're scheduling showings. We get the listing signed, then we can do another update to that list.
Yeah.
And then we can also say that we have a listing signed in this neighborhood without violating coming soon rules based on what I understand.
Yeah.
So that will drive again to advanced listing notification emails. So that's our call to action there. And then before listing launch week, we get this window where we can invite people and start selling the opening day bookings to again really like change that outcome for that seller. All of a sudden, this place is like a kind of more like a nightclub where people are booking in
Yeah.
and overlapping. We want buyers to
Yeah. I'd
see
cut
other
it to like
buyers.
15-minute slots type of thing where
We allow
you're
overlap.
tight.
We
Yeah.
make them wait. They got to wait out front while
I'd
the
let
other realtor
multiple
shows
groups
up.
in at once. You want that pressure of people walking through, seeing those other
They'll
people
wait
looking
for
at the
each
house.
other when they go to a key box. It's not like an
Yeah.
open house.
So this is where I would look at if you're in a hot market, and I've seen a few agents do this well, and you are in one right now, so this can work, is just send a team member instead of the lockbox code to sit there for the opening day, right? Because that like the first 2 days, you're gonna have the most amount of showings,
Mhm.
typically. So have one of your team members whose job essentially is to sit there and welcome, like they can stand outside. They're not gonna like follow them through and put that pressure on necessarily. It's we're welcoming people in and creating that ability to like that competition in their mind of here's the other people coming through. Because if you're
Yeah,
there, you're
and
like,
we're
why are you
already
here? Like, "Oh,
having
I'm just
that
here because we
effect.
have a bunch of showings booked, and I just want to make sure I facilitate it well."
Oh, okay. So that's definitely something that we should explore. The other
Yeah.
thing that we're thinking about is with not allowing showings until Thursday evening. So we would launch Thursday, but the first showings wouldn't be scheduled until Friday.
Yeah.
However, on Thursday evening, we would have an exclusive invite only
Open
premiere
house.
event.
Yeah.
And that would be the people that we're marketing to with advanced listing notification. They would get in before everybody else, but we're going to hold for offers until Monday anyway.
Yeah. Bully offers much of a thing yet in Edmonton?
Okay, this is
Are
something
they
that I was
coming?
just talking about this morning,
Yeah.
where what I want is when agents contact us to say they're interested, right now we send them out a text.
Yeah.
And the text gives them some details, our favorite possession day, lets them know that we're holding for offers, gives them a link to a G drive that has the land title in it,
Yeah.
like preps them up. Now, in that information delivery, I want another link in there that gives them a blog to what a bully offer is.
Yeah.
I think I need to teach them.
Yeah. Because you're not getting much of that right now.
Where the bullies are tiny. The bullies couldn't take lunch money from a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
They're like, listen, we got a time sensitive offer, and it's right at list price. And it's like, you guys would steal this property if I wasn't standing here.
Yeah.
But by Monday, we're going to have like 40 of your closest friends. In fact, my record now is 57. And then you can see how we'd feel about that offer.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, I didn't have to deal a ton with bully offers when I was selling, but literally the "what is a bully offer" post was my number one traffic driver to my website when I sold.
So I should just be doing it in general, and then I can link to it. But I think I want a realtor's version to coach them how to write one.
Yeah. Well, I would do that in the consumer version that realtors will
Hmm.
also read.
Okay, so
Right?
that's
Like, you're kind of
definitely,
teaching the consumers how they can do it while you're also subtly teaching the realtors in your market who don't know.
yeah. Because what
'Cause-
they don't know is that they actually need to give us an offer we're afraid to lose,
Yeah.
and that what the purpose of a bully offer is to eliminate the happenstance that happens when there's a lot of
The
offers.
offer's so good you're willing not to wait until the offer date because you don't think you'll get one this good.
Yeah, and if you're not if you wouldn't be in the top 3 at the end, you're not even writing a real bully offer.
No, you're just being
You're just
annoying.
trying to insulate yourself against the chance that somebody goes real crazy
Yeah.
by doing that bully offer early.
Yeah. And most of the time, like ones like that, you're just like, yeah, no, we're gonna wait. But you got to come in and make me go, oh, I don't want to let go this one.
Oh man, the last
Like,
sale I had, I was like, it had financing on it, and I told my clients we've sewn in a backup
yeah,
because I don't think the appraisal is going to come back. I think we overdid ourselves. This is in like we outperformed the comps by 10%. The
yeah,
comps, not our list price.
pretty good.
Unbelievable. So Edmonton's hot if you have
Yeah,
clients that are looking. But tying back into our conversation, we have a lot of interest, and that's why we're thinking about, especially those listings where we'd be excited to list everything down the block,
yeah.
calling more of our teammates to make larger things happen, like a premiere party on opening night to our invited audience when the information about this new listing is still really just ours, right?
You could
So
do
getting
there
things
as
like
like
that happen.
a group guided tour type of thing where it's like arrive at 7, the tour is gonna start at 7:10,
Mm-hmm.
and then you take everybody through the house together.
Yep. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm thinking, plus maybe like a magician. Uh,
The
and
kids.
yeah. And also to door knock the 20 houses around here.
Yeah, you
So we're
want to
going
get
to
them
do
to
the 10
come too.
across the street. We're going to do the 5 on either side. And we're going to call in the neighbors to the same thing.
Yeah, it's the VIP neighbor open house.
Yep.
And then for them, even if they can't make it, sell them on the update for the home too. Like, oh, by the way, if you want to get updates on the home, including the sold price when it sells, just give me your email address and I'll add you to the list to get that email too.
Okay, talk to me about approach here. So I feel as though I've got to do door hangers because not as many people have mailboxes anymore because we have like super boxes.
Yep.
So door hangers is going to be better. And then I want to have a stack of these so that I can go and distribute them quickly in dispatch. So I don't feel as though I can have the lag time to make them unique.
For the different
properties.
Door for the door hanger or for the which part you can't make unique.
The door hanger. So
So
what I'm thinking
similarly, you could
about,
do the like link tree idea.
yeah, what I'm thinking about is having 5 or 10 of these printed, all
Yeah.
with a different QR code that then I can redirect.
Yeah.
And basically, the tagline would be like something like, "You wouldn't believe what your neighbor did last night. Find out
Yeah, the
who's
Dean Jackson
thinking of
stuff.
selling,
Yeah.
and then drive to the QR code, and each of the like based on how many listings we launch or whatever, we'll just be able to change the directions of these."
Now, if you're only doing the like couple houses on either side and the 10 across the street, they've seen the sign going in,
No, we're
right?
doing it before then.
Also, like super early.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
that might violate the coming soon rules.
What if we door knocked and actually talked to them 1-to-1?
That would work.
Okay, so we can't leave a door hanger, but we can talk to them.
Correct. 'Cause I think a door
Oh,
hanger,
could we use a door hanger that invites them to call us and find out?
so that we're probably going right along that line of you'd have to find out till you got a complaint which one, which way that is, which side of the
Okay,
line you ended up
so
on.
I think that I'm going to be I'm definitely going to talk to my broker about this. Like everybody
Yeah.
wants to be compliant, but I want to be on that line. That's
Yeah.
the line where the action happens.
Yeah. So like, yeah, Craig's saying I'd say no, that's advertising the public. So whereas door knocking and talking to them, it's different,
Well,
right?
but
Like,
advertising for them to call us.
but if you're saying because a listing's coming up or one of your neighbors is selling,
Hmm,
now what you could maybe do, like, do you have any branded cars to Hack and Co?
no,
Well, get a branded car and park it in front of their house for a week. Why is that car here the whole time? It's not a billboard,
but the
right?
car
Like,
could be a
you know,
billboard.
Asif Khan, he used to do this. This is one of my favorite. This is like a 10 euro thing. He had a smart car back when he was at a, because now he's a broker owner. But before when he was just at a brokerage, he basically filled up like he wrapped a smart car, but he just parked it in front of the brokerage office, which was on a main street, and then never moved it. They actually ended up having to have like a brokerage meeting to make him park in the back because it was acting like a free billboard for him around town. So it's like you can take that same idea and it's not an ad now. It's just your car's there to help get the place ready. And it just happens like they're going to understand the context of a Hack and Co car is in someone's driveway for a week, what that means,
Hmm,
right? Like it's
that's
that
an interesting concept.
you're not advertising it, but people are smart enough to figure that out.
Yeah, like if you took a vehicle and wrapped it with the big symbol that we all know for location,
Yeah.
and put Hack and Co riders and said like something's for sale nearby, like call it the whatever
You
you
can
could
even
do.
call it the like home prep team car. Like, right, you can even like do something like that where it's like we've wrapped a car specifically as like the Hack and Co prepping team or something like
Okay.
that.
This is definitely interesting and dangerous because like
Or a box.
I'm
It
gonna
might
be
work
on
better with like a
Facebook
moving box.
Marketplace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should get like an old like moving truck and then have it wrapped like a big moving box.
But with that language on the side of like like because then like your clients could put their stuff in there and then
Oh.
right move it out for staging and stuff. And
All
for the
right.
week leading up, now you have a coming soon without a coming soon. Because everyone knows what that truck will mean.
Okay, that's definitely interesting to me.
Yeah. Also, Craig's saying they never found any ROI on the door hangers.
Oh, that's
Now,
good to know because Craig tests everything.
yeah. Now I'd be curious like what you were putting on those door hangers. But because I feel like there's got to be a way to make that work.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying. So what we did was we did an analysis
Yeah.
of 10 listings that we all agree we would want to sell everything down the block on.
Yeah.
And then what we found is when we started on listing start date and went for 90 days later, that there was like 4 or 5 opportunities within walking distance of all of these properties that listed. Well, we had some level of presence in the marketplace. Like the property hadn't been taken possession of. So we had like a sold sign there, but we just didn't get around enough to have enough conversations. Maybe those people didn't come into our open house. Like that's what we're wondering on.
So here's a way. So I like what Craig says, a door hanger without a conversation is a piece of junk mail. This is
Hmm.
where, instead of a door hanger, handwritten letters from the seller to their neighbors. Like
Tell me more.
you could print one that looks like a handwritten note from the
Oh, I've
sellers.
done this before.
Yeah.
I can make it look like Hilroy
And now
from.
it's their neighbor telling them that they're moving and inviting them to their neighbor's only open house that Thursday night. And now it's like the piece like in an envelope on like a personalized invitation. You can put their name on the front, and then you put that at their door instead of the door hanger. So it's like a envelope with a handwritten letter on the inside.
Okay,
Because
I
that
like
gets
that as
opened.
well.
That gets
Yeah,
open
so
and that
we
gets
would have
read.
to so we would have to get approval from our seller in order to on this for them to sign off on it.
Yeah. But then if they don't, you just write it from you, being like, hey, one of your sellers has engaged with us, one of your neighbors.
Hmm.
We're going to be doing this on Thursday. Uh, they've asked us to personally invite people in the neighborhood, and you
Whoa.
frame it from you.
I wonder if this happens lots. So let's say that I book a meeting with a seller for like next week to have letters like this that look handwritten and to go hit the rest of the neighborhood and say, hey, I'm coming by to do a listing presentation in this neighborhood. I've already done all the research. If you
Yeah.
want to know more, call me.
That so like I mean you could also do a I'm coming to let one of your neighbors know what they could get for their home. Since I'm going to be there anyway and doing the research, would you like me to do it for you too?
Oh, or door knocking coming out of that and saying, hey, I just did a market evaluation for one of your neighbors. I have
Same
some
model, same size.
recent information.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about how the market's treating your neighborhood, give me a call.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So especially if you have like which ones are the same model in a neighborhood, and you could like drop off a few letters, be like, hey, one of your neighbors, we've just been talking to them about selling their home. And we did the research on the pricing and of their model specifically. You have the same model. Would you like to get would if you'd like, we already have a lot of this research created. Would you like to get a copy of it to find out what you could get for your home?
Hmm.
Just hyper specific to them.
So that's what we're looking to do is to increase our likelihood that we list something else in the neighborhood with this listing.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about trying to pepper it out a little bit like when we take the listing appointment or in and around there, especially for these high value ones.
Yeah.
And then also I'm thinking about like direct mail.
Yeah.
So with direct mail, we always talk about just listed, just sold. Is You've been bringing up some conversation about how it went. So case studies and
Yeah.
releasing case studies afterwards are going to be a big part of our email marketing next year.
Yeah, like I'd make a goal like literally well, first I would also list out like what are the most common types of homes you sell and then the most common demographics you deal with. And your goal is to get for those as many case studies as you can as quickly as possible
Hmm.
because you want to get the ones for the most common ones. Um,
So Craig is saying lots of signs, and that's going to be another part of our strategy. Especially, so I really think that next year, like our team listed about 50 properties this year, we did about 162 transactions overall.
yeah,
And with those 50 listings, when we say the ones that we're going to swing for the fences on, because we cannot commit to this work rate for everything,
yeah,
but the ones where we're going to swing the fence for the fences is going to be about these 10 to 15 listings where all of our teammates are on board and we're going to show up in mass. So being able to door knock, leave notes, do more marketing around these is going to be key.
yeah.
To put out signs in a blitz, meaning that we very likely will be deploying about 30 coming soon signs, but having them go up one morning and come down the same evening.
Yeah.
And then doing the same thing when the new listing goes live and driving to like a QR code that essentially asks them for more info.
I would also do it not a sold rider when it sells. I'd replace the entire sign. Like have sold signs. not a sold rider.
I'm gonna think about that, but maybe what I'll do is a sold sandwich board.
Yeah. Well, that you have to look at bylaws. Some bylaw like right? So some
Mm.
areas, some municipalities, the for sale sign's okay, sandwich boards have limits.
So I
So,
need to find out because I'm in an area of the world where we have this beautiful thing called redneck regulation
yeah.
resistance. So the likelihood that I have rules is less here.
So why is sold
I
sign
have the
versus
same
rider?
question.
So because on a sign, so now you have all that real estate, right? Because like with the regular sign, you have to have your brokerage, obviously. You also have the MLS logos. You have to have all that like information because it's going on MLS. Except now it's sold, it's not on MLS anymore. So you have more real estate to play with, and you can put sold and potentially a call to action on it as well.
Mm. So
Whereas the
that's the
sold
other
rider
part.
is just a for sale sign that now says sold. You could put sold. You could even put you popping like a picture of you popping champagne, and then you'd be like, you want to get your home sold too, visit, and then, or you can even put a call to action, be like, do you want to know what it's sold for? Visit hackandco.com/sold.
So that particular language I find problematic because I don't feel as though I'm in enough alignment with the seller.
Fair.
So I might say, do you want to know about what it's like to sell in this neighborhood?
Yeah.
Maybe something that's a little bit more conducive. And but I'm also thinking that if I can use a sandwich board on the same, that's how I'll
Yeah.
test it. And I'll do a sandwich board that's all red. My signs are awesome. I love my
Yeah.
signs. They're on a 4x4. They have two stakes. They don't fall
Yeah.
over. Then they have a solar light over top
Yeah.
of the full setup. We have our team information and then like a picture of our teammate. And up at the very top, it says, let's make your next move remarkable. And that flips over to sold. So it's the
Yeah.
top thing. It doesn't obstruct anything.
Yeah.
We don't use
So
any
this is
stickers.
where it's going to vary a lot, municipality to municipality. Like I've been in some where you're not allowed to have any lights or anything electric related to it. We've had some where you can do like solar panel that lights things up, so it like gets extra views on it. Some you
This is
can't
an
have the board. It's one of those
awesome
interesting
conversation.
little town to town things that like even two towns next to each other, like where I sold, the municipality actually like had a specific like it was like impounding your car to get your signs back. It was $50 every time.
This is
So
awesome because
yeah,
like here we hear about stuff like that. Like we hear about all the trouble that you guys have with your landlord tenant board.
yeah,
You could have trouble finding mine. Like like it's very different experience where I'm at. So I'm going to look into this and we're going
yeah,
to find out what the rules are, but imagine the possibilities if there aren't those rules here.
yeah. You could do like because like even some have rules around how many signs can go out for like an open house.
What I really want to know about is those light cannons that make like the big beam in the sky.
Yeah, if you can put that up, just whatever like your brand color is, just have one that shoots up at each of your listings.
Premier parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here you'd be like, that's impacting the bird population. You can't do that.
Totally. And here they're like, look, there's birds.
Yeah. We just gotta help you beam it in. There's definitely a lot of like if you can get into that, if there's no restrictions, like I'd be putting out like 100 directional signs for your
Well,
listing.
that's what uh, I have a great relationship with my broker. He's going
Yeah.
to help me color within the lines
Yeah.
and he's going to understand that we're going to do this until people complain. He's used to me and
Yeah.
you've known me long enough now that you know that I'll just try some random stuff. And sometimes it catches heat and
It
I always
depends on the
tend to come out
complaint though.
okay.
Like is it a complaint that matters?
My favorite one was when we put up a TikTok saying where there's neighborhoods where we don't feel safe.
Yeah.
And it was such crafted language. And man, did people take the bait. Like my broker got dozens of phone calls. This video got hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah.
And he got phone calls saying that we're representing properties. And it's like, no, they feel safe is what they said.
Yeah.
Where I feel safe. And that's a subjective thing that's totally different. And we were fine.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of little things like that where you can get if you're willing like there was an agent in Windsor who was like the top 10 neighborhoods not to buy in Windsor.
Mm.
But the way he framed it was like, yeah, don't buy in this neighborhood if you like good schools. And he ended up just
So
doing that.
this is something that I'm wondering about, and this is kind of a hot topic. So let me know if you're not interested in talking about it.
Okay.
But there's a TikTok that recently got put up on my air in my market from a realtor, and that realtor was saying which neighborhoods had higher percentages of people from India.
Okay. Were they Indian, the realtor, or no?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, you're probably violating some version of fair rights stuff.
Craig says offside. And Craig
Yeah,
says
like
offside because Craig's super logical. And if it works for the geese, it has to work for the gander, you know?
I don't think I think there are a few areas where you could form an argument to do it on side. I don't think most people could handle the nuance to do that in a way that would
Well, if you're
work.
going to judge them on how they're perceived, so if you're judging them on being a guide to find your community and I'm a member of your community and so on, right?
But I
Then it
wouldn't
would be
then say
really
Indian.
tricky
I would say
because if
like,
I if I reposted that video, how
yeah.
is my audience going to perceive that? It just ends up trouble.
Like I might frame that as like if your English isn't great and you speak Farsi, here's the areas with the highest percentage of people who speak Farsi,
That's a great way to present it. You
right? Like
totally went around. That's a nice move.
like that would be the only way I think you kind of, and even that, it's still, I would avoid anything like that. I would probably anything that would basically that you can realistically see has a very good chance of having a ton of racist comments in the comment section. I would avoid,
Oh, that's
right?
a
Like,
good litmus test.
yeah, like if I could see, because like especially online where people don't think of nuance and context and they're just gonna go come flying right out the gate. Anything like that where it could lead to that, you don't want that discussion on your real estate profile, right? Like if they want to have the discussion of realtors are ruining a neighborhood because you're driving prices up, sure. Let's court that controversy all day.
Hmm.
But you don't want the anything touching race on yours.
That's why I was saying this is such a
Yeah.
hot topic. I feel nervous
I
talking about it, but I
yeah, I
also want to
wouldn't,
bring some perspective.
yeah, just from like a marketing standpoint, I wouldn't do it. Just because there's too much, like say like hypothetically, it was an Indian guy who wanted to market to other Indians to like that's the reason I do it. I wouldn't
That's
frame
how
it
I
that way.
received his message.
So how I would do that on TikTok is I would just do an ad for that neighborhood and I would just speak in their language. So I wouldn't
Ooh,
be like, "Do you want to know where they are?" I'd just
nice.
be like, "No, no, I'm just gonna go
This is
speak."
for you.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna do like we had a client in Russian. This is what he would do: is he would just talk about a neighborhood in Russian.
that's a
And
great filter.
yeah, because obviously now you know anyone who's gonna watch that TikTok and understand it is Russian. Like right away,
Hmm.
you got it. Like it, you fit into that neighborhood. I think the only reason you're watching that ever is because you speak it. So like that would be a way you could go about it. Otherwise, you're just courting way too much opportunity. Um, just to have like a shit show of your comment section.
Okay, so before we wrap this episode, just to take people through the rest of this so that maybe next time we can move on and talk a little bit about all these people that are logging in. How do we make sure that we can verify them? And then what do we start talking to them about?
Yep.
That's like the email marketing or conversion process to this. So, when we do the rest of this listing launch process, we're going to look at restricting traffic and also doing releases of information.
Yep.
So when we start doing coming soon, it'll just be it's coming to this neighborhood, and then we're going to release what the house is, and then we're going to release the price. And then we're going to be launching onto MLS and it's going to be open. We're going to be driving traffic off of realtor.ca
Yep.
where there's a ton of traffic by using visit the realtor's website as part of the public remarks, which is allowed.
Yep.
And then with that traffic, so we're going into the opening weekend. We're going to do a ton of signs in the neighborhood. We're going to try to talk to the neighbors, and
Yep.
we're going to hit mailouts that are just listed, just sold, and how it went. And that's what so we're trying to orchestrate a symphony so we can get enough leverage to pick up another listing nearby. And when you
At least
think
one.
about the value of that, like once you have two, people will start to take notice. And then if you do the same run again,
No.
I remember doing this when I was new. All I did was open houses and door knocking and posted on social media. And I became so busy I needed help.
Yeah, it was funny. I had a friend who came into the business, and it just happened that uh, someone that she knew very well, like friend of the family, was going to be selling their home within like a month of her getting her license. They're like, yeah, I'll just wait for you to finish your license. You can list my house. And so put the sign up day one of being an agent. Her first listing, I think she might have done it for like at cost type of thing, as
Hmm.
like gets me the experience. You save some money. A neighbor saw the sign, and it was like, hey, yeah, you've listed the house down the street for me. Can you come talk to me about mine? Got it. And then had two signs up on the same street, and it was like a main thoroughfare. And a month later, got another one in the neighborhood because of that, because they saw two. Now she had three, and she ended up building a business that was like 500K a year. And to this day, like she still doesn't actually know how she gets clients. It was just kind of this snowball effect at the right place, right time. Got a couple calls, and it was funny because like the reason I started talking to her about it after is she came to me. She's like, "If this dries up, this run, I don't know how to get clients." Like it was literally like this. I fell into it out the gate.
You know how there's two people in the same industry that are
Yeah,
experiencing two different
yeah,
worlds? It's summarized in how you say that phrase.
yeah,
Many agents say, I don't know how to get clients.
yeah,
And she's saying, I really don't know how I get clients, but I get them.
yeah.
That's an
And it just
amazing problem to have.
it was just snowballing. But that was the thing. She's like, if it ever drives up, even like first 6 months, because like she basically got clients because her sign's out there enough.
It's not just that. It's because
Yeah,
the sign's out there and people are talking about her.
yeah.
The neighbors are saying that they had a good experience. We measure that as a team and we call it remarkability. The quote that's on the back of my business cards is from Walt Disney. And it says, remarkability is doing what you do so well that people can't resist telling others about it.
Do you do net promoter score?
I don't even know what that is.
So it's a metric that most like big companies use to measure how much people love them. And it's so tough to do well on it that like I think Apple, for example, is one of the top ones and they're like a 60%. But the way it works is you send out of like it's like a two-sentence one. It's like, and you've seen this one, recognize it's like, what was your experience with us? Would you recommend us to a friend? 1 to 10, 1 to 10.
Yep.
You get a +1 for an 8, 9, or 10. No, sorry, if you get a +1 for a 9 and 10, an 8, you get no points. And a 7 or below, you get a minus.
Ooh, harsh.
So you have to go over 8 to like increase your net promoter score.
I
So like you're
like this.
basically looking at you're trying to only get 8s and up.
Yeah, I like that because most people feel as though an average experience isn't good enough for them.
Yeah.
So what
So
this is
what it's trying
identifying
to measure
is
is
that they
who's your
seek eights or higher.
essentially why it's called net promoter score is who would promote me, right? Because like people over an
Mm.
8, that's who will promote me to their friends and family.
Mm.
So what you're trying to get is how's your experience out of 10 with us and how likely are you to recommend us to a friend? Anyone who has over an 8 on both,
You
those are the
treat them
people that are
differently.
going to be your referral partners.
Gotcha. See, I've tried to solve this a few different ways. I thought that the people that would be most likely to refer us would be people that could articulate our value and have the social status that people will accept recommendations from them.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really determine on social status, but I could determine that they were willing or that they were able to articulate our value by how they did their 5-star review.
Yeah.
So I went through my 5-star reviews and I think I found like 20 people that had given us a great review and said it really well.
Yep.
And I sent them a gift. So I sent them like because we give knives when people refer to us. So I sent them the little knife that could
Yeah.
with a storyline that leads into the other ones about how it's up to them to save their friends from a 3-star experience in real estate.
Yeah.
And it was super fun and it kind of worked.
So
But I
I would
can't tell
look up
whether or not they really would have outperformed other people we didn't gift.
the net promoter score
Mhm.
because what the beauty of it too is literally it's a two radial questions. That's it, right? Like it's the fastest thing you
Yeah,
can
I've definitely
do.
seen this.
Yeah. And it's actually one of those ones that's just really good data if you understand that like a 6 is a fail, a 7 is a fail. Anything that's not 8 and up, you've
Well,
essentially failed.
yeah, fair enough. And
Yeah.
but there's also going to be a lot of strategic placement. Like if you were to send that to somebody who had just removed conditions after we helped them win in multiple offers,
Yeah.
that'd be different than sending it to a client who worked with us 4 years ago.
but it would be interesting to do that too, right? So right, like right
Yeah,
now, I'd
you'd
send
have to
one
batch them to
out to
understand.
all your past databases of like, hey, we're just reviewing us. We just have a 2 question survey. Would you mind taking 20 seconds and filling it out?
I see what
Uh,
you mean. So a lot of times when we send out surveys, we feel like we're being judged, but what you're
yeah.
saying is a net promoter survey is about determining who the hubs are in your network, who are the
Yeah.
people are
Who
that
would,
are more
who will
likely.
promote you the most?
So then you can do small client events that involve these people or get involved, especially if you find out that they're what I call a hub,
Yeah.
which is somebody who doesn't work a conventional 9 to 5 job. If
Yeah.
you found out that somebody gave you a high net promoter score and then you found out that they were a hairdresser, like drive to their house. Figure it out. That person
Yeah.
probably sees so many people and talks to them all the time and knows everything that's going on in their life.
Yeah. So, and then Craig, you're saying how many people chase bad reviews to find out like where did we go wrong? What could we have done different? So, like, I know, like, for example, like our clients, if we lose a client, we even have like an after action report people have to fill out. So we kind of like so we internally are assessing that. If we ever lose someone because it's a surprise, then yeah, we chase it and figure that out. You want to
I've
know
done
where?
this before. I think the best way to find out where we went wrong is a $25 Amazon gift card. So I think you send a card and say, like, this is like, I know I lost and you guys don't have a value in communicating me further, but this is a value to me. And I wanted to exchange value by sending you this card. Would you be open to telling us what we might be able to change to have a higher likelihood of success next time in the same position?
No.
And sometimes people are going to be like, actually, you were my control. Like I'm the control in my market a lot because I'm number one on Rank My Agent for my area. So people will interview the friendliest person from their barbecue and then they'll interview me. And my job is to make sure there's contrast there.
Yeah.
Because if there isn't, and when I say contrast, the reason that Kleenex is Kleenex is because when different products compete, in order for the buyer to recognize any difference at all, they need to be 10x difference. You can't 10x a Kleenex. The game is over. And when I go into those meetings, I have to be able to show them in a way that I am 10x better than the friendliest person at their barbecue. And that's really how we win.
I was like, there's a sales quote I heard where it's like, if all things are equal, buy from a friend. So you either have to make all things equal and get the most friends, or make things not equal.
And that is a great way to close today. Great quote. And that's from Andrew Fogliato, the founder of Just Sell Homes, a marketing company for realtors, as well as the owner of Real Estate Magazine, which will be the hub of all real estate. So make sure that you're tuned in to what's going on there. You get to watch it grow. You can participate. You can get in touch with Andrew. He is actually reaching out to people that want to bring content to Real Estate
Yep.
Magazine. So this is something, if you were looking for a new vibe, if the groups that you hang out with are the same old groups interested in the same old things, this is somewhere where you can participate in crafting the culture. My name is Taylor. I'm Taylor Hack from Hack and Company at Remax River City in Edmonton, Alberta. If you are looking for the only real estate market in Canada that's really bucking the trend, call me. There's definitely things going on here.
Perfect. We'll see you next week. 2 left this year. 2 episodes.
Let's
Unless you
go.
want to do, I don't want to do it on Boxing Day. I'm just gonna say it
I don't
now.
want to do it on Boxing Day either.
Yeah.
I
Two
like,
left this year. Then we'll
yeah,
we'll see you in the new year.
you bet. That's a private one with scotch. It's late and it's dirty. Nobody needs
That
that.
works for me.
All right.
All right. See you everyone. See you next week.